Imagine what LA Confidential written by AI would be. Like Resident Evil. Stop.
Don't open that door!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Poddywood. And I know I'm not sticking my fingers into the camera this time. Oh, wait, I just did. Sorry. Well, it is hot toddy weather here in the UK. The nights are drawing in, the thermometers are crashing, and I am one of your co-hosts, Steve Hester. Joining me, as always, is...
Well, that would be me. Andrew Roger Carson, a year older, a lot thinner since our last episode. I've probably dropped 2 shirt sizes since the last time we did this, Steve.
Yeah, because it has been quite a while, hasn't it? I think it's been back in August.
It was. It was before. It was before I went to Greece. That's how long ago the last time we did a 2-man episode was.
Are you trying editing all this by yourself when you've got 3 kids running around the house during the summer holidays? It's not easy.
Hush, hush. And speaking of hush, hush, I guess we've kind of got to get into what's in the box from last
episode. Just say last episode. It's easier than trying to narrow it down to exactly when we recorded it.
From the summer.
Yeah.
Put it that way. And Steve got 2 movies pulled from what's in the box. The first one, of course, was LA Confidential, and I think that's where we're going to start with today, Steve.
We are. This was the first one that I watched, but this is a movie that I've been planning to watch for ages. This was like our No Country for Old Men. This is something that I always kind of fancied. I've always loved this era. The style, the glitz and glamour of the golden age of Hollywood and all the sleaze that's surrounding it. It's a wonderful, evocative period, and the movie itself captures that, but in a very modern way. It is a story written by James Ellroy, who's popped up once before with our Wonder Boys episode, and directed by Curtis Hanson, who also directed the Wonder Boys. And you've got multitude of characters, but you've got 3 main cop characters. So you've got Jack Vincennes. It's played by Kevin Spacey, who's the wise guy getting into the media and being an advisor for a cop show, which is a version of Dragnet.
Yes. I was seeing if you got the Dragnet reference.
Then you've got Exley, played by the ex-Neighbours star Guy Pearce. Everyone starred in Neighbours. Look, Jim's even in the bloody Avengers, for God's sake.
Yes.
And he's your very, very typical, wants to do everything by the book, stoic. And then finally, you've got White, played by Russell Crowe. Who has he appeared on Neighbours? Yeah, there
he
you go.
did appear on Neighbours, right here in this scene.
Why isn't the lawman business doing too well?
I reckon you'd be able to answer that one.
How should I know?
Because you're the one that put him out of business.
This is my book. This is my little red book that I do all my reviews in. And right here, you've got 1 page of notes for LA Confidential, and then that's it. Mainly because I was getting into the movie, and I think that's usually a really good sign that you've got a really good movie, is if you're actually paying attention to that instead of distracting yourself. And the story is all about the corruption in the LA Police Department. I'm not going to give... You have got James Cromwell in there with a very wobbly Irish accent.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
That'll do, pig. And Kim Basinger as the femme fatale, because all these movies need a femme fatale. The tone of it is wonderful, and the acting is bob on. It's wonderfully realizing that very evocative time period. If you've liked L.A. Noire, which cribbed pretty much about 80% of its story from this movie, it's clear listening to the music behind this. Andrew Hale, who was the composer for L.A. Noire, he lifted huge chunks of that soundtrack in for this, because just the trumpets, the horns, and the lone kind of saxophone music, it's there here in spades.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Curtis Hanson. The late, great Curtis Hanson, I will say. This is, I would put it on his Mount Rushmore, along with In Her Shoes, Hand That Rocks the Cradle, and 8 Mile, the Eminem one.
Right.
Sorry, Wonder Boys. I also watched this again this week. The cinematography in this movie is incredible.
Doesn't slip into the more kind of traditional noir trappings of very, very harsh shadows and lines. Everything feels more naturalistic in terms of its lighting style. And like you say, the cinematography is fantastic.
It's Dante Spinotti, so it's going to be amazing. He is the best for a reason. I think this may have the most speaking parts for a movie I've ever seen. There are 80 speaking parts in this movie.
Wow. Including The Mentalist.
Yeah. Yes.
We see you!
Yes, I tweaked your nose. Your Honor, we're done here. Mr. Jane admits the crime. But in my defense, you were being very annoying.
This is also written by Brian Helgeland, well-known screenwriter, but he wasn't back then. He'd lobbied really, really hard for this script. Apparently, Warner Brothers, I think, had picked up the rights to Elroy's LA Confidential novel. I think it was in 1990. No, it was written in 88 or 89, so it was picked up pretty much straight away. But Howland wasn't an established writer at the time, and but you
probably
know,
want AI now.
yeah, Jesus, yeah. Can you imagine what LA Confidential written by AI would be?
LA Confidential featuring robots is an all-new, action-packed sci-fi thriller set in a future Los Angeles. When a mysterious new robotic crime wave sweeps the city, Detective John Smith is forced to confront the dark side of his city, while his partner, Sarah Johnson, investigates the criminal underworld of the city's robotic black market. As the two detectives uncover a sinister plot that threatens to destroy the city, they must find a way to stop the robots before it's too late. With intense action, mind-bending plot twists, and a cast of unforgettable characters, LA Confidential featuring robots promises to be a thrilling ride that you won't soon forget.
I think it was Bill Gerber was the Warner Brothers executive who really lobbied for this movie, and I think the reason why you got Russell Crowe and Guy Pearce was, I think it was down to the budget of it, and I think they wanted to kind of keep a budget lower. And Kim Basinger hadn't done a movie for 3 years.
No, to be honest, I seem to remember at the time when this came out being surprised that Kim Basinger. Now, here's another one: Basinger. Who knows? Let's call the whole thing off. I was surprised that she was in it, not because of the fact that she was in it, but because it felt like she'd just vanished off the face of the earth.
I have a feeling either the last film that she did before this, for some strange reason, I'm thinking it was either the remake of The Getaway, or it might have been The Real McCoy, directed by Russell Mulcahy, of course. Oh. Hello, Russ.
Either way, she had the Batman money to see her through, so it didn't really make that much of a difference.
And all of those broken 9.5 weeks rental cassettes. Kim Basinger came back with a force in this movie. And I will also say that a good friend of mine, Brenda Backey, is in there. They have the scene in the Frolic Room. Bill's going to love I got the mention of the Frolic Room in there.
One person that we are missing is Danny DeVito.
Oh yes,
and just gonna briefly touch on his character before we move on. That opening monologue. After editing Mike Deese's episode, which you can find here, I'll just put the link in the description somewhere below. That kind of very, very cynical attitude reminded me of Mike. It's almost as if I could just swap the two of them over. It's like great. I love it.
Very true. Yeah, you can tell you've been working out in the business that long where you've got that level of cynicism and are so comfortable about it.
Yeah.
The whole Bud White role, played by Russell Crowe in the movie. Mm-hmm. How much does this feel like a Mel Gibson role?
Well, possibly. But he fits it very, very nicely. And the thing is, Exley and White are two good cops, really. But they've just got very, very different methods. You know, because White, for all his all the trouble that he does trying to beat up the gangsters to keep them out of LA and things like that, he's doing it for what he believes to be the right reasons. He's not completely jaded with the force in that regard, but he just uses his fist, whereas Exley is very much the proto-politician, and he's very smart and he's very savvy and uses his mind as a weapon against him. So the two of them aren't entirely dissimilar, and it's nice to see their paths cross over. I'm doing that right over the microphone, so it's probably not going to pick it up. And White becomes softer and Exley become harsher. The forcing himself on Basinger, though, that felt a little bit out of character, really. Don't know why.
Yeah.
It felt a little bit forced, that particular bit.
I don't know if... it's been a long time since I read the book, but I do know there was a lot more focus on a lot more going on in the book, obviously, because, it's a book.
It's a book.
Maybe it was going to be picked up in that TV show that they did. So actually, I'll mention that. So they did do a TV pilot with Keith Sutherland playing Jack Vincennes, and it never got picked up. I don't believe it's ever been screened. I don't even think it was ever even released as a movie of the week, which failed pilots tend to do. But I'm sure that probably would have focused a lot more on it.
Yeah, they probably would have gone in deeper. Even if it's not actually gone on general release, I guarantee you someone out there has a bootleg of this. Get in touch and I will put it into the episode.
Yes. If anyone has bootleg stuff, we'll take it. It's like that version of Nightbreed that's 3.5 hours long.
Or a copy of The Last Jedi, which is good.
Last Jedi reference of the week.
Ooh.
Yeah, just before we finish off, there's a couple of things which just caught my eye. One, when White goes to see the captain, he sits down and says, "What do you want, Captain?" But the lips don't match.
Well, Captain, what do you want? Captain, what do you want? Captain, what do you want? Captain, what do you want?
Yeah.
So that was ADR'd afterwards, and also there's loads of places in the movie which will crop up that you recognize, like the captain's house looks so familiar. I'm sure it's been in films before, so there's plenty of places to keep an eye out and watch to see if you can find your favorite movie spots.
So your final thoughts then?
A very good
Did
movie.
it live up to the hype?
It did. I thought it was a little bit long, and the actual central mystery could have done with tightening up a little bit. There's a number of scenes which, while they do exist to add flavor into the movie, I don't really think they support the mystery too well. It's a little bit obscure as to exactly what is going on until, I'd say, the last half hour, 40 minutes of it. That's not to say that it's a bad movie by any means, and it does get there, and the denouement at the hotel is a brilliant little shootout. So yes, I'd give this a thumbs up.
It is very much worth your time.
Yes.
There's plenty of drama, some great acting, some great action. But speaking of great action, Steve.
This was, let me get the year right, 1988.
Oh yes, I've been absolutely dying for this feedback on this movie because I watched it again last night and I loved it.
1998, Action Jackson starring Carl Weathers and pretty much everybody that is in any kind of Joel Silver related project from the 1980s. You've got
Joel Silver traveling all-stars.
It is. Basically, it's a 1980s version of the Expendables. Everybody's in there. Half the cast of Lethal Weapon come back for this, along with half the cast of Predator. There's was it Argyle? Was in
yes, it's
Die Hard. Was his little
still driving
valet.
cars?
Yeah. So you've got all these faces come up. Like you've got Bill Duke and
Sonny Landham.
Sonny Landham. That's it.
Robert Darby.
Robert Darby. So it's a smorgasbord of 80s schlock, which is lying on top of this. Let's face facts, it's a blaxploitation movie. It really is.
Yes, one of the last.
And yeah, you really, really love this movie, don't you?
I do.
I was not impressed.
You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half. And now.
Oh, we're going to war on this one.
This should be right up my wheelhouse.
It should be.
To mix my metaphors. And there's so much about it which does work. Like I say, you've got this great cast. You've got this title, Action Jackson. But it's actually really boring. For a movie called Action Jackson himself doesn't do anything actiony until the 40-minute mark. There's quite a good opening, I will admit, where the group of ninjas come in and kill someone. And then about 10 minutes later, the group of ninjas go onto a boat and they kill someone there.
Group of ninjas is stretching it. This was basically a guy being killed by a Winger-inspired magic act.
Whatever. But they do two things within the first 15 minutes, and then it's just brief action scene where he jumps on a car. He's in a pool hall for reasons. Shoot out at the mansion in the end. The plot itself it's way too complicated for its own good. It kind of wraps itself up in things like the middle of the movie. The bad guy is just completely absent. There's no cutaways working out what he's doing or where he's going or what he's kind of like pushing his motivations. Jackson goes here, there, and everywhere looking for information, but exactly what information it is that you actually think that he's after, you don't know. He just gets it off someone that is like V for Vendetta, except she's obsessed with the letter D. I wanted to like this. I really did. I wanted to like this for you because I know that you really, really love this movie.
I was bored.
I was so bored. I was bored by it.
Oh my God. Bill is going to tear you a new asshole.
I don't care. I was bored by this.
I have never heard a Craig R. Baxley film and the word bored in the same sentence.
Okay, I was bored by a Craig R. Baxley film. At least when we had the crap coming out of the bad end of what's in the box, it was able to laugh at it. I couldn't even laugh with this because the humor was far too forced to the point that it went over that tipping point and just became unfunny. Like, oh, he fainted again.
What? Mike, no, we are seriously going to disagree on this one.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you what.
I thought we would.
So Craig R. Baxley, after this, he'd go on to direct two more films that are huge guilty pleasures of mine. One is Dark Angel, a.k.a. I Come in Peace, which is a Dolph Lundgren movie. Yeah. And Brian Bosworth in Stone Cold, which I have mentioned on Get It Fresh as
you have, yes,
a totally out there movie. The reason Action Jackson exists is great. This was born on the set of Predator.
He should have stayed on the set of Predator.
Right. This was a conversation that somebody had, I think it was Joel Silver, was having with Carl Weathers. About doing, we need a proper black action hero, tough guy cop movie. And so it came around being Action Jackson. This does have half the cast of Die Hard. This basically was a movie where to keep people working between Predator and Die Hard, I think. It was like, we've got a couple of months. Let's just go to Detroit and make this movie. And Delaplane's mansion, that's in Pasadena, funnily enough. I know where
I've seen that before.
Yeah, it's been used for a lot of movies, and it's on one stretch of road in Pasadena where a lot of movies like The House of Bowfinger is there, the original Wayne Manor from the Batman TV series of the 60s. They're all along that stretch of land.
Would you say that Delaplante was kind of a stand-in for John DeLorean? Car manufacturer doing some dubious stuff.
That's pretty interesting.
Could be.
You never know. I mean, for one, the film was an unexpected box office hit. It is kind of classed as a cult film. You mentioned a blaxploitation film. Yes, it was. It was among the last handful of original blaxploitation films, along with Hollywood Shuffle, which is a hilarious movie, and I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, which is also a hilarious
I
movie.
like I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. Yeah.
So they were the films that kind of ended the blaxploitation run along with Action Jackson. I love the fact that Carl Weathers in his movie, as well as being a cop and he's been to Harvard and all stuff like this, he was a track and field star, which explains the fact that he can run alongside a taxi cab.
I know.
And not lose any ground with this taxi peeling off, and the fact that he can do a proper Power Rangers flip over the top of it.
Was the guy driving the cab? Was he grimacing or was he smiling? Because every time he's like, it's like, are you amused at the fact that Jackson can get on top of the cab, or are you pissed off? I don't know. I can't tell from your expression, man.
I don't know. I was more amazed at the fact that they basically made him dress up as Action Jackson to be a decoy because it was the only other black guy on their team. So it's like, you can be Jackson because no one will second guess it. Biff Tannen himself, Tom Wilson, opens the movie with this joke.
It was a regular fuck-around at my place last night.
Can this shit cornblow? There ain't been any at your pants since your mother helped you move in.
And then ends the movie with this joke.
How bad is it? Oh, this is one dead piece of shit car builder.
He has the funniest opening line and closing line in the entire movie. I want to get Tom Wilson on this show just to talk about this movie alone. Hi, Tom.
Buttheads.
I just wasn't into it. I wasn't into it. I was expecting Sharon Stone to be the love interest. Yeah, but of course this was the 80s, so you can't have a black man with a white woman and have that be the love interest. Oh no, you can't be having that. No.
But of course, we can have the rich white guy shooting up a black girl with heroin.
That's fine. I would have much rather have kept Sharon Stone, because in the end you end up with Vanity as his love interest, who, for God's sake, she was a Prince protege, basically back in the day. Yeah, she was one of the people that he was coaching and kind of bringing up in the world, and she had a career all of her own. She had been in a few films, like I think it was Too Young to Die with John Stamos and Gene Simmons.
Oh my God, yeah, that's going back.
Yeah, so she was in that, but she can't act at all.
The funny thing is she actually had a heroin problem at the time, or a crack problem at the time of filming that, so it wasn't really much of a stretch. God. Apparently that is
allegedly.
Allegedly, that's
allegedly.
But, I mean, come on, Action Jackson. You've even got that great 80s saxophone music in there.
Oh yeah, I'm not debating the score. Michael Kamen came in and mixed it up.
It is so refreshing to see a movie where people actually bleed when they get punched in the face. When you see all the movies today, they'll take like 15 hits to the face or something and not one bit of blood coming out of their nose or anything. I've got a big guilty pleasure of Action Jackson, because that is just the height of 80s action movies. And the height of that Joel Silver period before it all, got all 9-to-5'd.
I honestly think the reason why I didn't buy it as much as you do is you watched this years ago.
Oh yeah, as a kid when it came out, yeah.
Yeah, so you've got fond memories of this going back to when you were young. I haven't. It's like when we watched The Goonies for the first time last year. It's a good movie, but because I'm not of that age when I'm seeing it, it didn't stick with me. It didn't resonate with me in the way that it did with you. And I think if I'd have seen it when I was, 11, 12, whatever, then I would have absolutely have loved it. But I came in wanting something that was either going to be more action-packed or more funny. And it kind of missed it on both counts.
Agree to disagree on this one. It still holds a really good, place in my heart for being exactly what it is. We're not going to take this seriously. It's just a bit of escapist entertainment. Fills up 90 minutes of your life. Anyway, well, I recommend it. Steve does not recommend it.
He hates me right now.
No.
He's already plotting my demise.
I just pity you, really. But do you know what I pity even more?
The Fool?
No. Our anniversary section this week.
We watch them again all of the time, or we get them on Prime for free. But we only know how old they are when we learn their anniversary.
Ah, yes. The anniversary section.
Anniversaries.
It feels so long since we've done the anniversary sections because it has been so long. But here we are when we're recording this is October. It's counting down to Halloween. So naturally, the films of yesteryear were all kind of horror-centric, as they are every Halloween.
A bit spooky.
Yes. So I polled 3. Can you believe, Steve? We are going to go back to 2005. So we're not even doing the whole 10-year blah-de-blah-de-blah stuff.
Okay.
I wanted to bring this one up because I know this is a movie you have seen. I know it's a film that you actually like. I wouldn't say I love it, but I have a deep fascination with it.
Okay. Color me intrigued.
In 2005, this week, the movie Doom was released.
Ah.
Doom.
Doom.
Not.
Doom Annihilation.
Sorry, Kate.
No.
No. The original Doom. Directed
Carl
by Andrzej Bacz. That guy?
Yep. Directed by who? Go on.
Andrzej
I'm waiting.
Bartkowiak. That guy. The guy who also directed The Great Romeo Must Die, starring Jet Li, and the surprisingly fun Exit Wounds, starring Steven Seagal and DMX. Might be his best thing he's ever done. I know people say Under Siege, but I'll say Exit Wounds because it is the movie where he is fully taking the piss out of himself.
You really? It's not an executive decision where he dies after about the first 20 minutes?
No, just to write him out of it quick. You owe us a favour, damn it.
No, I like Doom. It does have its problems. It's got a lot of its problems. A lot of the problems stem from the fact that it wants to be aliens, but it's not. It wants to steer away from the satanic element of the video game, but that's what gives the video game more of its flavour. And it's got some really nice moments, such as the nano wall where the thing gets trapped in it, and the first person sequence. The Rock being the bad guy.
Okay, the first person scene is fun. A lot of people kind of crib that, but I actually went to the cinema to see Doom.
So did
I. And it's actually pretty scary when you're watching it in the cinema, and it's all dark. Because the movie is very dark. You can't watch it during the daytime. You just cannot. It's a movie you need complete darkness to be able to see. The first person scene is fun, but yes, you are right. On the originality stakes, no. The plot, no.
No.
I was reading up about Silent Hill yesterday, the movie, because there's a third one coming out.
Is it?
With Christoph Gans returning to direct it as well, who directed the first one, not Silent Hill Revelation, which really should have been burnt.
I did like the first one.
I like the first one. Considering it is nigh on impossible to get a faithful transition from a game into a movie, and you can ask Max Payne about that one. It's never PG-13, guys. Come on.
No.
Where Doom does work, I mean, you've got Dwayne Johnson as a bad guy, and he actually really wanted that Sarge role, because I think they were trying to get him for Reaper initially, and he wanted to do Sarge because it was more interesting a character.
Yeah, it is. And to be honest, anything which then brings Carl Urban into the fold, I am 100% behind.
And amazingly, this is the movie that Rosamund Pike turned down the role of Rita Skeeter in Harry Potter to do.
Oh dear.
I mean, I bet she regrets that one. Vin Diesel also turned down the lead role in this movie.
Okay, yeah, that I can understand.
What struck me as a point of interest is the fact that Dwayne Johnson is the only American actor.
Yeah, because you've got Rosamund Pike's British, Carl Urban is he's a Kiwi.
New Zealand.
Yep, let's be honest. Don't want to rock that bridge too much. And then I think most of the cast otherwise are British, aren't they? Or Canadian?
Yeah, the only other guy, the blonde-haired guy, the weird guy, yeah, he speaks with an American accent, but he was actually born in Wales.
Ah, right.
They didn't rely a lot on CGI. They still went a lot of practical with the monsters and things like that, which I really did like.
Yeah, they could have done with a bit more variety. They could have also done with a lot of variety with the sets, though, because it does feel like they're constantly going around the same 20-meter stretch of corridor.
It does feel like they just rented a laser maze for a day.
Yeah. Can you clear out of here? We've got a kids' party at 1:00.
Yeah.
Mommy, the strange man won't stop staring at me. Do you want some drugs?
Even better. Maybe it was just the set from Games Master, which is the reason why Dexter Fletcher was still there.
Love Games Master.
Yeah, but yes, Doom was released.
It is what it is. It's never going to win any awards. It's cheap schlock.
It's cheap schlock, and it's enjoyable. You know, it's worth a revisit. It's not high art, and
it's not Doom Annihilation.
It's not Doom Annihilation. Okay, well, let's go back 20 years, and currently this week there are a lot of posts about this on Facebook, and I know the director of it as well. And he's put quite a few things out for it. So 20 years ago this week, the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was released.
Okay, hands in the air. Not even see the original one.
Oh,
I know.
Yes, directed by Marcus Nispel
of Friday the 13th. Yeah,
who did probably the best version of Friday the 13th. I will hold my hands and say that he also directed Pathfinder with Carl Urban, which was a Viking movie, which it got slated, but it's beautifully visual. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre was banned in the UK.
Yes, it was.
Right up until, I think it was 2006?
Something like that. It was definitely late. The others definitely weren't, because I remember seeing Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation.
Oh!
Excuse me.
That's definitely the first one I saw as well.
No, I've not even seen it. I'm just saying I remember seeing the box with Renée Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey on it when I was working at GameStop. And it's like, ooh, shit. That looks bad.
They were young. They needed the work. But no, there was some nice touches in this that I never realized back in the day. For one, back in the original 1974 film, they had the opening voiceover bit was a then unknown John Larroquette, and he came back to do the opening voiceover for the remake as well.
Oh, nice!
As a known guy. So yeah, he was apparently very happy to do it. Also, the fact that the guy playing Leatherface in this is the same guy playing Zangief in Street Fighter.
Quick, change the channel!
Oh, yes. Yes. Andrew Brynarski is Leather.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And he does an amazing job. He's so imposing on it. Also, this movie had the exact same cinematographer as the original movie, Daniel Pearl.
Okay, so they were properly pushing the boat out on it being faithful.
Yeah, so that was where he started his career, and that was also where he ended his career as well, apparently.
Or was it his last movie?
I believe he intended it to be his last movie. I'm not sure if he did any more after it. I thought a lot more people died by chainsaw in this movie. Only 2 of the people die in this movie. A lot of people die in it, but only 2 people by the actual chainsaw, and it is a tough watch. It's very
yeah.
It's probably one of the better remakes, and I think Marcus Nispel really does really good remakes because with what he did with Friday the 13th was spectacular.
Okay, there's very little that you can do to try and flesh out the character of someone who doesn't speak. Your hands are tied.
It's mainly the rest of the family. It's very ding 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 family. You have Arlie Ermy as the head of the family, doing a really sinister role that he seems to just absolutely relish. And obviously, with the young kids, you have your main casting person in there is Jessica Biel, looking absolutely fantastic. I'm not sure a sequel was necessary to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I definitely know that we don't need so many of them that are coming out now, seemingly every couple of years. Maybe it's just to keep hold of the rights or whatever. At the time, I don't think the sequel was necessary. The original is still one of the scariest movies I ever saw. I saw it very young, so it had a major imprint on me.
Going back to video games, recently the Texas Chainsaw Massacre has been released as an asymmetric multiplayer game by Gun Media, if I remember correctly, who are the same people that did the Friday the 13th video game. So if it's anything like that, you'll have like one person playing as Leatherface trying to capture all the other people and then kill them in various different ways while they all try to work out some way of escaping. So, you know, it just goes to prove that the two franchises seem to be irrevocably linked in some way.
Would have thought. Then again, I think Platinum Dunes, the production company, it's like Michael Bay's horror wing. They own the rights, I think, to them too. But I think they were kind of a production arm, because I think this was New Line, and I think Friday the 13th was a mixture of New Line and Paramount.
Paramount for part 1 to 8, then New Line for basically everything after, and then I think there was a tie-in somehow between the two for when Marcus Nispel's version came out.
Yeah.
So it's a complicated history. Far more complicated is the history of Evil Dead.
Yes.
Which we're not even going to touch.
No.
Jesus Christ.
Not this week.
No.
Okay, yeah, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's a good watch, actually, if you're looking for a good Halloween movie. Even though this episode is no longer on Halloween, but if you're looking for a good November movie, then that'll do it for you. Okay, finally. We are going to go back to 2001 this week. This was an interesting one, which I'm thinking you may have seen, and you may have some interesting tidbits on it. But back in 2001, the movie From Hell was released.
Now, I'm just trying to remember if I have seen this one. Is this... I know that this is the one where Johnny Depp is tracking Jet the Ripper, is that?
Yes.
I think I have seen it. I remember there's a scene where he's on a train, because it's kind of like in a modern day setting. And he's reading some notes on the train. That's the only thing that I can actually remember. I have seen it, but I think it was just so long ago, I don't remember.
I don't think that's this movie.
Is that not this movie? Okay, it's not this movie, folks. Forget everything that you've just heard about in the last 30 seconds. Sorry for wasting your time. You know, you could be at the pub having a drink, you know, making love to someone, having a tasty snack. I'm sorry, I've wasted your time. I'm wasting your time now by apologising. Andy's getting increasingly pissed off with me.
As always. Let's go back. From Hell, this kind of has a bit of a divide with audiences, and I can understand why. So it was directed by the Hughes brothers, Albert and Alan. Some of you may have seen The Book of Eli with Denzel Washington, the post-apocalyptic movie, which is okay. They got their start with Menace to Society. They also did Dead Presidents, which was a relatively good movie, and Alpha, that Richard Mirisch worked on, which is a phenomenal movie. Oh, Natasha Malthav was in that movie as well.
Oh, hi guys.
We just reference everyone who's ever been on our shows if they've been in this movie. And they were great visual directors. They still are. They've just done, I think they were the producers. I think they may have directed some episodes on The Continental, the John Wick series, has just debuted. Now, obviously, this was based on a graphic novel by Alan Moore. And we know Alan Moore.
Yes.
As soon as Alan Moore's stories get translated to the screen, they're either completely terrible or not what Alan Moore would have written, as they call it.
You can blame the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. That was the
one.
Well,
yeah, I've got a link on that in just a moment. It stays incredibly authentic to the reproductions of the murders, what they do. It stays really thick. They even have the real photographs that were taken from the time. You'll see them in the police station when they're looking over it, and they're the real photographs of the real murders that took place. This movie has probably the most amazing set design I've ever seen in any movie. They recreated blocks of the Whitechapel area as it would have looked back in those days, and I think they did it in Prague, which isn't much of a stretch, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's a perfect city for that kind of...
Yeah. Differs from Alan Moore's graphic novel in the fact that focused more on the Jack the Ripper character. Go on. What?
Was Jack the Ripper actually...
the Loch Ness Monster?
Oh my God.
Do you want a good time, dearie?
What was that from?
It was Amazon Women on the Moon.
Oh, my. You are a big one now, aren't you?
With Alan Moore's novels, the graphic novel, more focused on Jack the Ripper as the main character in it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the film concentrates more on the policeman, obviously Johnny Depp as the private investigator. A lot of people get this confused with Sleepy Hollow, and I'm sure that's probably what you were doing with the whole train thing or whatever.
No,
because
I might be getting it confused with what was the other one that he did where he was a writer?
The Ninth Gate.
No, it might be that one. It might actually.
Secret Window. Or
it might be the Ninth Gate that I was thinking of. Yeah, because there was a couple of them around about that time that.
Yeah, it was around that time he was going through his dark phase. But yes, Sleepy Hollow. You can argue that he's the same character in both of them. We have to really look at here when it comes to Alan Moore. I mean, he signed a couple of projects over to 20th Century Fox. One was From Hell, and obviously one, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. That was one of those movies where I felt I was captive when at the cinema. Because I wanted to leave and no one else did. And if you read the comic books like I had, it was shocking. It was bad. Much so that Sean Connery said he's never acting again.
Yeah. That was it. You can thank that film for just Sean Connery just going, "Oh, fuck this, I'm off to play golf some more."
Yeah.
In his defense, there have been better versions that have come out of his work that have come out since. I still maintain that Watchmen is fantastic. It just came out about 10 years too early.
Yes.
Got a soft spot for V for Vendetta as well, even though that was messed around with.
From Hell, I mean, it looks amazing. It does. It really is a great feast for the eyes. It's a great film to watch over Halloween. Some people call it dull because it is very kind of police procedural and methodical and stuff like that. I get that. There are no real genuine scares. There's nothing that jumps out at you. I think it's more classed as a thriller than a horror. Yes, From Hell, I do recommend. I know there was about 30 to 50 minutes cut from the film for theatrical release. The DVD release did have all of the deleted scenes on there, and it extended a lot on the story. I reckon this film could have gone that 3 hours and would have been really interesting. I think major people's complaints was the fact that it was slow moving. It's a slow burner.
Mm-hmm.
It's more investigative than, Jack the Ripper's out slashing people left, right, and centre like Jason Voorhees. It's not like that, but it is. It's an amazing film when you really just sit back and enjoy it.
Okay, so we've got 3 spooky recommendations for this Halloween /November, because it's the 19th today, so it's probably not going to come out by the time Halloween's here. It'll come out by the time Bonfire Night is here for all you Britishers. And all you Americans are just going, what the hell is Bonfire Night?
I'd like to say something too.
Go on.
Steve, what's in the box?
What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
I was hoping that you'd forgotten. I really was. I was hoping that it had passed you by and slipped your mind. Oh, God. Right, all right. What's in the box is the part of the show where Andy pulls out movies that are certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, or at least they have something interesting behind them which I should watch. He's going to pull out 2 names of 2 movies out of the box, and if I have seen them, he's just going to keep on pulling out names until we find the ones that I haven't seen, and then I've got to go away and watch it before we record our next episode. When that's going to be, I don't know.
So, basically, it's time to, once again, pull 2 movies out of the box. And as usual, we're going to start with our first one. Music, please. Thank you. Steve.
Yes.
Your first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
I've seen the swimming pool scene.
That doesn't count. It means you are watching it.
Okay.
That is number 1.
Okay, Spicoli.
Spicoli indeed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know the reference.
Number 2.
Oh.
Steve.
Yes.
Have you seen
Yes.
4 Weddings and a Funeral?
Yes.
Oh. Next.
Next.
Out of the box. Steve.
Yes.
Have you seen The Devil Wears Prada?
No.
There you have it. So, in the next show, it is Fast Times at Ridgemont High and The Devil Wears Prada.
Okay. All right, that's an interesting mix. It's definitely contrasting styles.
Yes.
Okay. But if you want to talk to us about any of the movies that we've featured here today, then you know what to do. You can just hit us up on the socials that are currently appearing at the bottom of the screen. You can leave a comment below this video, and I will probably respond to you going, what? Because, it's what I do. Or you can check us out on our Patreon, where you can get audio versions of these episodes a little bit earlier. And we're also going to be uploading some exclusive content, including the extended Mike Deesa interviews. Those are coming soon, and only for people who are on Patreon.
I have a book released.
Ooh, do tell us about this book, Andrew. It sounds fascinating.
Yeah, well, I've been putting it out there. It's been on the social media platforms, stuff like that. Yeah, I took some time over the last month, almost to write a kind of what's in the box book. In a sense, this
What's
book
in the
was
book?
more what's in the book. That would have been great. Yeah. Wish I'd have thought of that before I had this thing fucking printed out and sent and sold to people.
Oh well.
I wanted to do something different. You see a lot of books that come out called Easy Riders, Raging Bulls, when they're all talking about the films that shaped the 70s filmmaking movement. But they don't talk about the films that kind of didn't open at number 1, were modest successes. Some of them were flops. And I wanted to really get into the history behind these movies. It's been selling pretty well.
Where can we find it, Andrew?
Oh, you can get it on Amazon. That's the best thing. And it's beautiful. It's illustrated. You've got pictures. You've got the original movie posters are in there. And it has all been written by me. Every bit of it. So no ghostwriter here, baby. I sat and wrote every single one. This is hopefully the first volume. There's 50 movies in this volume for you to check out and know the history behind and just see how much of a struggle these movies had to make an imprint. There is a lot of history there. And it's my first book, so please go and buy it on Amazon. Here's a link.
There we go. Well, while you rush over to buy it on Amazon, and no doubt it'll probably end up on multiple platforms after that.
Also, coming up next, we don't know if it's going to be after this episode yet, but we shall see. It is the Poddywood quiz. We've been saving for episode 100. We don't even know if we're
I'm
going to reach
mentioning
100.
since episode 70.
Yes,
Christ.
It has been so long in the planning, and I will be recording it from Los Angeles. Steve will be there in wherever the hell he is.
The
wet, yeah. Up in the hills.
Aye.
But it's going to be a hell of a quiz episode, and it's going to be fun. And we're doing it to raise awareness of seasonal affective disorder. So we will talk about that more on the time.
We're also doing it to raise awareness of this show.
That does help.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But for now, though, it is a goodbye from me.
And I'll see you from LA.
Bye.